Hey everyone! Welcome to the Event Hub, where every event turns into an unforgettable experience. So unexpected, and so paradigm-shifting that it has entirely rewritten the script of the 2026 Women's Tennis Association season. We are talking about the BNP Paribas Open, famously and rightfully known as the Fifth Grand Slam. Nestled in the picturesque yet unforgivingly arid landscape of Indian Wells, California. This is the place where legends are minted, where the blazing desert sun and the heavy unpredictable winds test the physical endurance and mental fortitude of the greatest athletes on the planet. And today, that desert has witnessed a seismic upset that no analyst, no pundit, and certainly no algorithm saw coming. The headline dominating every sports page, every social media feed, and every broadcast network is clear and undeniable. Whole Russia shock, Alexandra Eala defeats Mirra Andreeva at the BNP Paribas Open. To truly understand the gravity of what has just transpired on the hard courts of California, we have to set the stage and look at the colossal figures involved in this titanic clash. On one side of the net, we had Mirra Andreeva. Now, the headlines have been screaming about World No.5 Mirra Andreeva. And while she has been hovering around that elite top 5 tier and currently sits as the world number 8, her aura on the court is that of an undisputed queen. You have to remember the history here. Mirra Andreeva is not just any highly ranked player arriving at Indian Wells. She is the defending champion. Cast your minds back to the 2025 season, a year where Andreeva, still just a teenager, ran through the draw with the ruthless efficiency of a veteran, culminating in a spectacular, jaw-dropping final where she dismantled none other than the powerhouse Aryna Sabalenka. Andreeva arrived in California this year, not just carrying her rackets, but carrying the immense, crushing weight of defending 1,000 ranking points and the prestige of a crown she fought so hard to win. The Russian tennis establishment, a machinery known for producing cold, calculating, and flawless champions, look to Andreeva as their golden girl, the immovable object of the WTA Tour, poised to dominate the next decade of the sport. She is a player who possesses a preternatural ability to absorb pace, redirect the ball with lethal precision, and break down opponents mentally before their physical stamina even gives way. She was the heavy favorite. She was the expected victor. She was the reigning monarch of the desert. And then standing across from her, casting a completely different shadow under the stadium lights, was Alexandra Eala, the pride of the Philippines. The 20-year-old phenom who has been carrying the hopes and dreams of an entire nation, an entire region on her shoulders since she was a junior. Eala's journey to this moment has been nothing short of cinematic. A graduate of the prestigious Refinado Academy in Mallorca, Spain, Eala has absorbed the ultimate lessons in grit, top spin, and never say resilience from one of the sport's greatest gladiators. Coming into Indian Wells this year, Eala had already reached a historic career-high ranking of world number 31. This ranking wasn't handed to her. It was forged in the fires of the Middle East swing where she orchestrated a clinical breathtaking run to the quarterfinals in Dubai, taking down top-tier talents, including a phenomenal victory over world number 7 Jasmine Paolini. Because of this incredible surge in the rankings, Eala secured a seated position and a highly coveted first-round bye at this year's BNP Paribas Open, a first for any Filipino player in a WTA 1000 event. But even with Eala's spectacular recent form, the tennis world viewed this matchup against Andreeva as a step too far, a mountain too steep. Andreeva is the defending champion, the Russian prodigy who had previously defeated Eala in their Macau exhibition encounter late last year. The narrative was supposedly written: Andreeva would weather the early storm, use her tactical superiority to neutralize Eala's heavy left-handed forehand and march comfortably into the next round on her quest for a repeat title. But sports, as we are so often reminded, do not care about written narratives. They do not care about expectations, rankings, or defending points. They care about who shows up on the day, who executes under the suffocating pressure, and who possesses the sheer, unadulterated will to win. Today, Alexandra Eala showed up and delivered a masterclass that has left the global tennis community absolutely speechless. The result is a historic landscape-altering victory for the Filipino star, effectively dethroning the defending champion and sending Mirra Andreeva packing much earlier than anyone could have possibly anticipated. The shockwaves radiating from this match are palpable. In Russia, the sports media is in a state of disbelief, dissecting every frame of the match, questioning how their reigning champion was dismantled. In the Philippines, the streets are metaphorical parties. Social media is entirely consumed by the triumph of their homegrown hero who continues to shatter glass ceilings and redefine what is possible for Southeast Asian tennis. This match was not merely a game of hitting a yellow ball over a net. It was a high-stakes game of physical chess, a clash of contrasting styles, and a true testament to the evolution of women's tennis. On one side, the relentless flat-penetrating strikes of the Russian prodigy. On the other, the heavy looping needleless topspin of the Filipino trailblazer. It was a battle of court positioning, of serving under pressure, and of psychological warfare. How did Eala manage to break through the seemingly impenetrable defense of Andreeva? What tactical adjustments did the Rafinadel Academy graduate make to turn the tables on the defending champion? How will this devastating early exit affect Andreeva's trajectory for the rest of the 2026 season? And more importantly, how high is the ceiling for Alexandra Eala now that she has proven she can conquer the very best on the biggest stages outside of the Grand Slams? The implications of this result extend far beyond the tournament brackets. It shifts the power dynamics of the WTA Tour. It signals the true arrival of a youth movement that refuses to wait its turn. Players like Eala alongside other rising teens are no longer just participating. They are actively dismantling the established hierarchy. This upset at Indian Wells will be talked about for years to come. It will be analyzed by coaches, rewatched by aspiring players, and celebrated as a milestone in international sports history. And now we transition in. I will provide you with a news title and some key news segments. Please create a highly professional extensive news script for YouTube to the main body of the script. Let us unpack exactly how this monumental upset materialized on the unforgiving courts of the Indian Wells Tennis Garden. To truly comprehend the magnitude of Alexandra Eala's victory over Mirra Andreeva, we must analyze the tactical blueprints both players brought into this match. The psychological warfare waged between the baselines and the specific environmental factors that Eala masterfully exploited. First, we must talk about the unique conditions of the BNP Paribas Open. Indian Wells is notoriously difficult to play in. The ball flies through the thin dry desert air with immense speed. Yet, the surface itself, a gritty, high-friction hard court, grabs the ball, making it bounce exceptionally high. This unique combination requires a very specific type of footwork and racket preparation. Historically, players who employ heavy topspin thrive here as the court surface accentuates the kick off the bounce. Conversely, players who hit incredibly flat can sometimes struggle to control the ball in the thin air, prone to hitting long if their footwork is even a fraction of a second late. Mirra Andreeva is a player built on flawless timing and redirecting pace. Her game is predicated on absorbing the power of her opponents, flattening out her ground strokes, and finding acute angles that run her opponents ragged. When she won the title here in 2025 against Ines Sabalenka, she used Sabalenka's immense power against her, playing a counterpunching masterclass. However, Alexandra Eala presents a completely different puzzle. Eala is a southpaw. Her game is deeply rooted in the philosophy of the Rafinadel Academy. She hits with massive RPM heavy topspin, particularly off her forehand wing. This meant that instead of feeding Andreeva the flat, hard pace she loves to redirect, Eala was feeding her heavy bouncing spinning balls that kicked up high out of Andreeva's ideal strike zone. From the very first game, it was evident that Eala had a meticulously crafted game plan. She did not engage in rapid-fire, flat baseline rallies. Instead, she used her left-handed advantage to relentlessly target Andreeva's backhand, not with speed, but with height and spin. This is a classic tactic against right-handed players, but executing it against a player of Andreeva's caliber requires immense discipline. By forcing Andreeva to constantly hit backhands from shoulder height, Eala neutralized the Russian's ability to inject pace down the line. Andreeva found herself pinned deep behind the baseline, struggling to step into the court and dictate play as she so often does. Furthermore, we must analyze Eala's serve. While neither player is known for overpowering 120 mph aces, placement and variation are paramount. Eala, utilizing her lefty slice serve out wide on the ad court, was able to consistently pull Andreeva completely off the doubles alley. This opened up the entire court for Eala's devastating forehand on the +1 shot. The statistics from the match tell a revealing story. Eala's first serve percentage was remarkably high, keeping her out of danger on her own service games. More importantly, her breakpoint conversion rate was incredibly clinical. When Andreeva showed even the slightest crack in her armor, Eala pounced. But tactical superiority alone does not win matches of this magnitude. Mental resilience is equally critical. We have to consider the immense pressure weighing on Mirra Andreeva. She walked onto that court knowing she had 1,000 points dropping from her ranking if she failed to defend her title. Every unforced error is magnified when you are the defending champion. Every break of serve feels like a disaster. Eala, on the other hand, was playing with house money. Having already secured a seated bye and sitting at a career-high ranking of 31, she played with a freedom and a looseness that translated into fearless shotmaking. During the crucial turning points of the match, those tense 30 all or deuce points where the momentum hangs in the balance, it was a who played the braver tennis. When Andreeva tried to draw Eala into a web of slices and off-pace balls, testing her patience, Eala refused to blink. She constructed the points methodically, waiting for the short ball and then attacking with precision rather than pure power. This maturity, this patience is a clear indicator of Eala's evolution from a promising junior into a bona fide WTA threat. She didn't just out-hit the world number 8, she out-taught her. The reaction back in Russia has been predictably stunned. The sports dailies in Moscow are searching for answers. Was it the pressure? Was it a lingering physical issue? But taking anything away from Alexandra Eala's performance would be a massive disservice to the masterclass she put on. The Russian tennis community is not used to seeing their prodigies dismantled so early in a tournament they dominated just 12 months prior. This defeat forces a recalibration for Andreeva's camp. The WTA Tour has evolved rapidly in the last year, and the rest of the field, spearheaded by players like Eala, have clearly done their homework on the defending champion's vulnerabilities. Conversely, the impact of this win for the Philippines cannot be overstated. Tennis has long been a sport dominated by Europe and North America. For a Filipina to step onto the main stage at the 5th Grand Slam and knock out the defending champion is a watershed moment for Asian tennis. It validates years of rigorous training, international travel, and unwavering support from her nation. It sends a message to young athletes across Southeast Asia that the pinnacle of the sport is accessible. Alexandra Eala is no longer just a great story. She is a giant slayer, a legitimate contender who has proven that her game translates to the highest levels of the sport against the toughest opponents. Looking ahead in the tournament, the draw has completely opened up. With the defending champion removed, the psychological landscape of Eala's section of the bracket shifts dramatically. Eala now carries the momentum of a massive upset. The question is no longer whether she belongs at this level, but rather how deep into the second week can she go. She will need to manage the emotional high of this victory, a notoriously difficult task for young players who often suffer a letdown in the subsequent round after a massive upset. However, if her composure against Andreeva is any indication,